Ouch. Hopefully without a brain, he's not having to feel this. Here's your relook at the McFarlane Toys Twisted Land of Oz, the Scarecrow. The McFarlane Monster Series Twisted Land of Oz is a highly detailed limited edition release from McFarlane Toys based on the classic novel The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It features twisted alternate interpretations of the classic character. Scarecrow looks like a guy who's made of many parts, and every part is an ouch. Before, though, we get a closer look, a relook at the Twisted Land of Oz, the Scarecrow. Let's take the tape measure, shall we, and see how tall the figure stands. Truth be told, though, this was the one I was really not looking forward to doing at all, and so happens, though, as Dorothy's making her journey up to see the wizard, she happens to come across this chap first. This figure is a mess when it comes to assembly and keeping things intact. We're going to talk about all those things in a moment. First, as promised, the tape measure is going to tell us that the Scarecrow, in the state that he's in, stands at 7 3/4 of an inch in height. That translates to a figure that's 19 centimeters tall. If you so happen to have watched my previous review of Dorothy Gale, then you know she's got problems of her own. She's blinded, she's bounded, and she's being held against her will by this tiny little munchkin riding another little munchkin. But here you can see what the two figures look like side by side. I swear this happens every single time I take the Scarecrow out of the bag. There's always a new piece that I can't then find where it belongs on the figure. In fact, actually, I got several pieces here that have unfortunately broken off over the years. I've had this guy like sealed away in a bag. I've got like a little post. I've got what looks to be part of his leg. And then we've got the back section, though, of what would be his cross. Again, as we kind of look through, this seems to be the only one that actually is legitimately broken. All the other ones look like they could belong somewhere. I just don't know where. We're going to move those off to the side, and maybe we'll kind of together we'll discover where these things are supposed to go. The Scarecrow does require some assembly. He does require a lot of maintenance as well. The figure doesn't look this way when you get him out of the packaging. You have to do a little bit of assembly. And the one crucial thing is the figure does definitely need to have his display stand. I'm going to take him off, though, his stand. If you look, though, online and you see like Twisted Land of Oz Scarecrow, you can see that there's people that have posted their pictures of him in various states of just malfunctioning. The figure, like I said, does have a couple of different parts to him. We'll kind of put everything down here for a second. And we'll first look at the display stand. Now, the display stand isn't really that much different. Let's just go ahead and grab Dorothy Gale's here. Take hers off. And you can look at the two styles of stands. They're somewhat similar to one another. If you have multiples of these, by the way, together, you can actually put them together and you can follow the yellow brick road, or follow the dingy-ish road off to see the wizard. I do like that, though, because, again, like it's not just a carbon copy to one another. They actually did design this with the idea in mind that if you had multiples of these together, you could, follow the yellow brick road. For the Scarecrow's design, though, of the actual cobblestone base here, I mean, other than having just a little bit of a warpness on the front, I don't know if that's just by the time I've actually had this thing sealed away. It's a nice looking display stand, though, nonetheless. Now, Scarecrow does essentially have two legs. Very little chance, though, of him actually being able to stand on his own. When you put him down on his own, first of all, he does come with a separate leg piece. And even like just looking at this, it looks like you're trying to decipher a riddle. Where is this supposed to go? Where is this supposed to go? Well, there's this post right here from what I can gather, because none of these figures, by the way, ever had really instructions. You sort of have to post this into this hole right here. Kind of just move it back and forth till finally it gets inside the hole. There we go. And then Scarecrow wouldn't normally be able to stand on his own again. Like, look at the way they've designed the leg. One is bent backwards. One is sort of straggling off to the side. The thing I've noticed, though, is if you turn the leg sideways, sort of till you see this red patch here, kind of that's the way that you want to have it configured. Take the very required display stand, take yourself the leg, and I find it helps to kind of go with this leg first, and just attach onto the display stand. Making like noises is something that's going to be common when it comes to the Scarecrow. Kind of now move him around, so again, you've still got that red patch sewn in there, and then line the other foot up. Again, it's not even really a foot either. It's just a big bushel of hay. Or I guess it would be straw. Would straw and hay be the same? Somebody who's a straw expert can let me know down below in the comment section. But that's essentially what we get for a standing Scarecrow. I mean, again, even when you get him to stand, you have to kind of lean him forward a little bit. Reapply the post. I had this so much better before. Is he standing okay? No, now he's going to start to lean forward. But essentially, yeah, again, you may want to kind of just twist this a little bit, twist the leg. This is certainly one of those figures as well that really does require a display stand. Without the display stand, I mean, just good luck. You can also do one thing, and this actually may have been the thing I actually did in the first place. Take the display stand off, take the foot off. Don't break anything, whatever you do, and have it facing this way. That's what I did before. Reattach the leg. Reattach this leg. And then do your best to kind of line everything up. Now, again, you're going to have to twist this. Get that onto the display stand. We have it ready this time. Okay, that was the thing that needed to be done. You sort of have to have the triangular piece at the back. With Scarecrow somewhat standing for himself, then we can look at the various accessories that come included with the figure. Now, he does have one thing that can be held in his hand, I guess, to ward off all the crows that are flying around him. It does come included with a scythe. I love the look of this scythe. If I don't ever decide to display this with Scarecrow, now keeping in mind, again, like a lot of these twisted Land of Oz figures I've had bagged away for a while, I could maybe even use that for Michael Myers. Hey, how about that? I do like the way that everything on this guy is rusted. Well, at least all the weapons that he has are rusted, and his leg, really, for that matter. The blade looks cool. It looks sharp. Luckily, it isn't actually sharp. You can do this till the cows come home. Oh, look, I am bleeding. No, I'm really not. It's sculpted really well. Again, you've got the bandages. Like, for this being, this is it was 2003. It was released 22 years ago. Yeah, 22 years ago, because we're dating it from Dorothy Gale's. Let's look at hers. Yeah, 2003. So 22 years ago. We're going to go ahead and take this and fit this into his hand. This is, again, the only thing that he's going to have to really ward off the crows. And he's going to fail miserably, by the way, because the crows are just going to continue to flock around him. They're pulling out his eyeballs, after all. The figure does also come included with a really mangled-looking pitchfork. I'd kind of be tempted to take this to a restaurant with me. The guy's serving up the silverware, and I say, oh, no, I brought my own. And then just going to bring this out. I think I'd be immediately told to leave. This doesn't seem to have a place at all. I mean, I guess you can kind of just lean it against his leg. I don't really know. I mean, like, there's no real designated places for these. Again, I can't fully stress this enough. When you get these figures usually out of the packaging, there are no instructions. You pretty much have to be sent out in the wild and sort of fend for yourself. Again, like, there's no real place to put the pitchfork. So again, you can kind of just put it off the side. You can just put it over here if you really want to. You could even possibly put it next to the pumpkins. These pumpkins, I wouldn't even recommend try carving for Halloween. I mean, it looks like they've already gone rotten. What is it about pumpkins, by the way? They never seem to last. I've had pumpkins, in fact, actually where they were fully intact like this. Looking a lot nicer, by the way, than what we're looking at right now. Literally had them sitting inside a dining room, and then one day they just incinerated. I literally came home. The pumpkin was in pieces, and there was just pumpkin goo and liquid all over my table. The pumpkin must have just imploded on itself. You get 3 different sizes of gourds. I actually knew a gourd growing up. He didn't look like this, by the way. He didn't actually look like this. Although sometimes, though, when I was hanging out with him, Gord was throwing up sometimes. I won't give you the reasonings why he was throwing up, but maybe Gord did look a little bit like this. But the pumpkins themselves look gross, as they really should be. He looks like he's come from neglected fields. So we can go ahead and just put the pumpkin right there. You can put it off to the side. There is really like a nice enough space in between sort of the A pose that he's got for his legs, where you could technically put really the pumpkins in between there. The figure does also come include... Oh, there's Gord. No, that's not really Gord. You can see this poor chap, unfortunately. I don't know if he... I don't know if he's a munchkin. He doesn't look like a munchkin. Not that I really know what a munchkin looks like with corn sticking in their mouths. But you can see, though, that he's got a cob of corn lodged in there. And it looks like he's been dead for a while. He's also got the entrails left behind for his neck that actually work as a little hanging piece. So you can actually take this and you can hang it. Oh, it's like decorating a Christmas tree. Oh, wrong season. I guess this technically isn't really a season. But you can basically just hang it on the cross like that, which is a good way. I mean, banging anything. I can't stress this. Banging anything really on Scarecrow will result in any of the following things falling off the figure frequently. But we'll put that right there for at least... Actually, you know what? We won't. We'll take that off, and we'll look at the various crows that he comes included with as well. I did already say, though, you get no instructions whatsoever. But you get a couple of crows. Where's the other one? You get a couple of crows that actually do have pegs. So there's one right here on the bottom, and then there's this one here, that when you start to look around the lay of the land for the Scarecrow, you can notice that there's like a peg right on the side, a peg hole. And I think there's like a peg right over here as well. So there are a few places where specific crows will go. All the crows, by the way, are decayed. They look like they have been dead for a while, and you would think that something dead would stop flying around, but no, in the land of Twisted Oz, these things continue to fly. You can't get rid of these things. So you can imagine how much work is involved from a Scarecrow. So again, you get a couple of these that have pegs, this one and this one here. And then for all the rest of the crows, a murder of crows, fittingly enough, I'm saying these murder of crows, you get 3 other ones that then have holes. See how they have holes? There's one there, there's one there, and there's one there. These are all more just a guessing game. You just have to kind of guess, okay, where is this going to go here? At the beginning of the review, it was just impossible for me to get these all on them, because a lot of times, you're just trying to remember, years ago, how I had this all first configured. Whereabouts are they all supposed to go? Before we actually decide where they go, let's get a closer look at the Scarecrow. Now, the Scarecrow, I think the first time I had a look at this guy years and years ago, I even said then that this guy is an impossible thing to get properly posed. I mean, again, like looking at the way his leg is posed and bent like this, he, just by own luck alone, the guy manages to able to pull off a stance. The stance, as you can see, is one leg is kind of moved forward, so I don't know if he's actually trying to escape where he is, where the other leg is bent back. This is all a metal posted leg, or mechanical leg, whereas this one actually is just a big stump of straw. The straw itself, as you can see, sticks out in different areas. He's just basically kept together by just lady luck alone. Got a nice little blue jacket going on there as well. I like the look of that. The figure does technically have, despite looking like this, some posability. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. The figure only really seems to be able to move his arm forward and back. I think from when we looked at Dorothy, Dorothy didn't do anything. I don't think this arm moves at all, just because, again, like, this is all one post. This plugs in on one side. This actually was a separate piece, from what I remember, and I just plugged it on the side of his arm. The face, though, just looks, he's full of anguish. It's hard to kind of really look at this because there's so much going on, but he's actually missing an eye. This works with one of the crows. Is it this one here? No, it's not that one there. One of these crows actually have him leaning down. Maybe it's, no, it's not this one either because that has the post. There's one of them, believe you me. Oh, maybe it's this one here, where you can actually lean the crow down and he's pecking out his eye. Isn't that nice? He's pecking out his eye. Now, again, like, you can just rest the crow. This one actually does the best job. I mean, there are sort of suggested areas on the Scarecrow. Like, you can see, like, there's a, can you see right there if I get my finger out of the way? There's a square post right there. There's a couple of few random square posts. There's one here on his hand. I know that's really more of a nail. But you can kind of get an idea of whereabouts these things are supposed to go. But again, it's going to be more just guessing game than anything else. So you can get the crow sort of balancing over top of his eye. There we go. And that sits okay. Actually, this is one of the better crows that stays in place. It has to, because he's eating away on a guy's eyeball. Other crows, again, you can take them and find sort of the ones that have the post. So, well, again, I'm sure, yeah, that crow's going to fall. There's a hole on the side of his leg here. So you could take, like, for example, this crow and that crow. Actually, I think that's the wrong one. See, I'm telling you guys. Find the crow that has the peg. There we go. And sort of just tuck that in there and plug it in place. This one's staying warm, apparently, underneath his jacket. You can attach it right there. And then there's another post right here that you can take the other crow that has the post. And that plugs in right over here. Just like that. As you're, though, moving things around on the Scarecrow, yeah, things are going to fall. It's going to happen. But that basically just plugs in place. You basically just rinse and repeat. So one plugs there, one plugs there. And then all the other ones, you're just sort of left to guess whereabouts they're supposed to go. I kind of just had them balancing on the top. Even actually in preparation of this review, I went to look at images online, and again, I saw some just random people of just trying to do their best to keep this thing balanced on the ground or on the wherever they had this thing displayed. And like, they just had some crows in some areas. I actually even just went to McFarlane's website to see if I could find the original images of it. Some were blurred. Some only really had 3 crows showing on the figure. They didn't actually have all 5. Again, when it comes to the posability on this figure, don't expect much, really. I mean, he makes more for a really cool-looking statue. As again, like, he's got the stuffing all hanging out of his arms on the front of his chest. These crows have just been pecking away this poor chap. Even, like, as you can see with his fingers, it looks like his fingers have just been, like, eroded away. Spinning around this guy from the back so you guys can see as well. Like, he looks interesting enough, but the problem really facing, again, like, when you're looking at things like, well, like this that will fall off. Even just to try to look online, like, this sort of looked like this was just underneath his jacket. So when you're looking at it, you know, again, it's got the shape of the T. Whether that's supposed to really belong there or not, that's kind of where I had it displayed just at the beginning of this review. But again, like, even as you just see now, putting this guy on the shelf, does he not just sort of lean to the side? And of course, you have then all the problems that go along with putting everything else on this guy. It's like decorating a decrepit Christmas tree. He is by far my least favorite figure. I kind of get what McFarlane was really wanting to do with a figure like this. Sort of just a figure that's been pieced together, cobblestoned together, where again, he's got the robotic kind of mechanical leg, which again, just has this missing piece. Where this piece is supposed to go, there's a hole right here. There's not really one on the other side. This maybe have gone over here. I don't know. Needless to say, though, if you really commit to having this guy on display all the time, you might even, I don't even want to say the word glue, even though I just finished saying it. Glue is probably one thing you may decide to do with a figure like this, just to first of all kind of glue in, make sure everything stays in place. The crows don't do the greatest of jobs of staying in place. A lot of times you really have to bounce them on the figure. You have to plug them in. You could probably plug the crows in that have the square pegs first. Get those all out of the way. So like this one here and this one here. Plug it on the arm. Plug it on, of course, the side of the leg, and then go in there very carefully. Once you get this guy on the shelf, then decide where you want to bounce the rest of the crows. There's no real rhyme. There's no real reason. There isn't really any instructions either. So again, when you see these figures, when you first pick them up, you probably would have done the same thing as me. You looked at the images online, or you looked at even the image on the back of the packaging, and then based then on that, okay, that goes there, that goes there. Let's take actually Dorothy Gale and put her over here. Of course, as she moves along her journey to see finally the wizard, she's going to be coming across more stable figures. As we, of course, then look at the Tin Man, and we're going to be looking at the Cowardly Lion. Those ones don't have as much of the issue. Scarecrow really shouldn't have been going to the wizard in first place to get himself a brain. I think what he really needed to go to the wizard for was to get a better looking figure. Scarecrow, I think, is a figure that suffers form over function. The form and the look of the figure is rather interesting. I would love to have seen what this guy would have looked like when he was initially sketched out. He, from a design standpoint, looks really interesting because there's always new things that you can discover on the figure. Translating that, though, to an actual plastic figure and then relying on collectors to be able to piece together the parts of this guy, that's another problem. Because when you're looking at the figure, you don't really have any instructions as to whereabouts things are supposed to go. I'm looking at this right now, for example. I'm noticing that the lower end of his leg isn't properly attached to his thigh, so I'm hoping it'll stay in place. What you will probably be also noticing, too, is that I've got the crows in all their proper configuration, spending just a little bit more time looking at everything and the way things are supposed to peg together. If you're looking at the sizes of the shapes, you can kind of get an idea then where crows are supposed to go. The crow down below, for example, on the back end of his leg, plugs in proper place, and you can kind of do that. Go with basically the crows that have to plug onto something, and then the other ones balance rather nicely. So the one that's actually picking out his eyeball, that's kind of gross, sits properly in that place, as well can be said for the one that's right by his hand. Then from there, of course, you got the severed head with the little cobicorn stuck and lodged into his mouth. And then, of course, you basically just scatter all the other things all around it. Scarecrow, though, I would recommend if you're looking to get this figure eventually in your collection, even though it will cost more to do it, go online and buy a brand new copy. You're going to be at, though, the mercy of you trying to buy a used one that has been in a previous collector's hands. There are things that are probably going to be broken on the figure. There are maybe things that are also going to be missing on the figure. A display stand certainly is the most important thing, because without that, Scarecrow like this will not stand on his own. As, of course, we continue our journeys to see the Wiz, next up, we will be looking at the Tin Man. Then I figure, of course, we're going to be looking at the Cowardly Lion. I don't think we're going to be looking at the Wiz just after that. Maybe we'll stop for a second and hang out with Toto. Toto isn't a cute little dog at all. What do you guys, though, think of Scarecrow? Let me know down below in the comment section. You know, again, I get the idea that the design of this is cool, but the execution leaves something to be desired. If you guys did enjoy this video, do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? Yeah, I hope so, as we're, of course, continuing our world of the Twisted Land of Oz. If you did also want to check out other previous reviews that I've done from McFarlane Toys, including all the other twisted things, popping up at the very end of this video will also be a playlist. Yeah. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.